All right, good afternoon. I'm Saad Al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas. And this week's question is I was asked a question about why, when I teach my classes, I pick the partners for everybody to do the drills and the training with, and I separate the males from the females. And so the question was, why do I do that? Well, the reason I pick your partners, I learned over the years, is that if I don't pick people's partners, like then the brown belts will team up with the brown belts, and then the brand new white belts will team up with the brand new white belts, and therefore, like, they won't get a good training experience. The reason I separate by gender is I don't want to spotlight people who have come from traumatic events, meaning I have a number of females who will come train with me, but they may have been victims of sexual assault, victims of domestic violence, or have some type of traumatic background where pairing them with a male would be an uncomfortable situation. And so what I do is I never pair my females with males. If I have two females in a class, then I pair those two females up. If I have three females in a class, then I will pair them up into a group of three. And that's how I train them. The only exceptions are like if a lady comes in and like she trains with her husband, husband and wife, I will pair up. Or if a lady comes in, she's by herself, and my wife Sway, who's also a black belt here, is not available to train with her, then in that case, I will pair up like my most trusted students, where it's a male and female, and I'm never really comfortable with that because the problem is like I do this to one, protect and make people feel comfortable training here, especially people that have traumatic backgrounds. And so the last thing I want them to do is come in here and then I pair them up with somebody, and then that person makes maybe an inappropriate advance, or like they say or do something inappropriate. Because from time to time I've gone through my jiu-jitsu journey and I've gone to schools where anytime a new young lady comes in and maybe she's attractive, I'll see guys make a beeline to her. And it's like, hey, she's just in here to train. She's not part of the dating pool. But some guys, they don't get that. And so I try to avoid that situation by separating them. And you could ask, well, why don't you just separate and not have the females who are the victims of domestic violence or sexual assault, separate them, but then let the other females pair them up with males? And the reason I don't do that is because if I did, then I would have to explain or identify each time a lady came in and was a victim. That, oh, this person, I don't pair them up with males because they're a victim. So instead of that, I just separate them because they're always separated by gender when I pair up. Now, when it comes to sparring, so during class, I will pair people up and choose everybody's training partner. And so I'll pair lady up with lady, female with female, male with male. Once class is over and it's time for sparring, then, like people can choose who they want to train with. They don't have to, just females spar with females and males spar with males. Each person makes a choice of who their training partner will be for that sparring round. And people can just, you pick who you want. So I said all that to say that's why I separate the males from the females. Is I do that so people that have had a traumatic experience in their background don't feel uncomfortable, and they definitely aren't coming to my school from backgrounds like that, or even like without a traumatic background. They're not coming to my school to train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to meet a potential date. And that's what I don't want to happen. And because I never know what people's behavior is, because like I don't do a criminal background check on everybody that comes in to be a student. I do on the instructors, but not on my students. So somebody could come in from whatever background, and I just don't know what their background is, and I just don't want to put people in bad positions. So that's why I came upon the practice of separating training partners by gender, and that's only during class. Like I said, after class, people can pick whatever whoever they want to spar with, and just know that I don't want people to be uncomfortable, and so that has been the solution that I've come up with. Are there better solutions out there? Maybe, and if I find one, I will go with that. Because one of the things that concerns me is I just want everybody to be comfortable, and like if you come to me to learn self-defense, or that's what I want to be able to give you, and not like you paired me up with this person of the opposite gender and they were asking for a date, or and because in general I try to discourage any type of dating in my school, because people are like, oh, why is that? Well, because I'll see a male and a female date in school, and then they're both my paying customers, and then when they break up, I almost always lose one of the two. Sometimes I lose both. And then sometimes there's been crazy situations in my journey. Like I was at one school where there was a husband and wife. They was blue belts. And then there was another brown belt. He was married also, but to somebody else that didn't train jiu-jitsu. And then I noticed the wife, blue belt, and the brown belt, like they was constantly hanging out together. And so something had happened in, it went from, I guess, training to a very inappropriate relationship, and that the blue belt husband found out that the blue belt wife and the brown belt husband of somebody else were having an affair. So the blue belt husband, he quit jiu-jitsu, and then had I been the owner of the school, those two would have quit jiu-jitsu too, because there's no way I would ever promote somebody to black belt who displayed such poor character. But yeah, the end result is the person that owned that school, they lost all 3 students, and they ended it was just terrible. So I never know, like what people's character is, because before that event, if you'd said, oh, what do you think of the character of this male brown belt? I'd be like, oh, I'm sure he's a good guy. Yeah, he seems to be a stand-up guy. Turns out, oh, he was an absolute dirtbag. Like he was a disgrace to the art, and so was the lady that cheated with him, because they both cheated on their spouse. And so somehow they met at the school, and that just all went south. And so people like that sort of motivated me to be like, yeah, I don't think one, I won't promote people that have bad character, but 2, I never know what conversations take place, and so like I just keep everybody separated. But like I said, after class, if they want to spar, people pick whoever they spar with. But during class, I want everybody to feel as comfortable as possible. And just in case somebody asks, if somebody comes in and they identify as trans, I will pair them up with the gender that they identify with. Because my goal in running a jiu-jitsu school is to make everybody feel as comfortable as possible. And I don't want anybody to feel excluded. I want everybody to feel like this is a safe environment. So I try to create a very safe environment, as safe as you can for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I'm teaching you how to choke people and break limbs. But I want it to be done in a safe environment where when people come to my school, I want their whole focus to be I want to learn how to choke somebody. I want to learn how to break limbs. I want to learn how to defend myself against attackers, and I want to try to not be sexually harassed by somebody. So I rambled on to say all that is why I picked everybody's training partner, and why I pair females up with females and males up with males. And because I just want everybody's focus to be training, and I want everybody to be comfortable. All right. So that's this week's question. If you got a question for next week, fire away. You can either put it in the comments, or like this week's question, it was just one of the students saw me and said, hey, why do you always separate the females and the males in training? Well, now you know. That's why I do it. All right. Have a great week. Thank you so much. And, oh yeah, that's the shaka from last week's lesson. If you didn't see last week's lesson, check it out. Now you'll know what this hand symbol means. All right. Have a great week. See you next week.